just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another Packer Up, boys. And it is that time. It is that time. Oh, that's as good as day one. Tastes as good as it tastes the first time I tasted it. As always, brought to you by Bloke Beer. Get into your local, grab a case of the beer of rugby league, the beer of Australian sport. It's not some huge multi-bazillion dollar beer owned by some foreign country. It's the beer of rugby league. So get around it, guys. It's beer for blokes that turn up for family, mates, and good times. As always, guys, if you had a big week, you had a tough week, just pack her up in a little box, put it away in your mind, and just enjoy your weekend. You've earned it. And also, worrying about today never helped tomorrow. Worrying about tomorrow, it never helped today. I got the big fella, Sandor here. How you going, brother?
Good, brother. I had to check myself then. I thought I nearly raised a pinky when I drank my beer. Realised I was on camera. But no, I realised I got long pinky.
2024,
no
baby. 2024, pinky, raise your pinkies with a beer. You can do that these days. These days. Back in the day, maybe not. But look, we're all about accepting everyone in the flock. So if you want to raise your pinky while drinking a beer, you do you, baby. Matty, how you going, bro?
I'm good. Still kind of not riding high as much as yesterday. Yesterday was a really good day after the New South Wales win. Oh. Very disappointing that from a Blues perspective, that the women's lost yesterday. But yeah, kind of come back down to earth now, but very happy with the win.
Well, I've been great, guys. I've been great. Not much going on. Algo check. Let's get straight into an algo check. Algorithm check. I want to see what you weirdos are looking at. Sandor, what's your algorithm looking like these days?
Oh, my algorithm check. I think I'm pretty loaded at the moment with combat sports. I mean, my moment with Alex Pereira, my little fanboy moment, has dominated my algorithm at the moment. So I seem to be literally every single page, every single post is about him. And of course, I'm liking it.
Of course.
Sending him some cheeky DMs as well that he never reads. But yeah, that seems to be me at the moment, just pumped up with combat sports. But I'm loving it. It's rugby league, it's UFC at the moment.
Okay, Matty.
Mine's taking a weird turn. You might laugh, but...
Please, give me weird.
Yeah. Well, it's not weird, but I don't know how I got onto it, but there was this mad animal video or photographer who took this amazing video of this eagle going straight into the ocean, picking up.
I've seen that.
How good was it?
It's gangster.
Yeah, that's one of the oldest National Geographic videos ever.
Well, I saw it for the first time the other day.
No way.
Seriously.
Mate, that honestly...
I think me too.
That video's like 10 years old.
Really?
Maybe
older.
Is there a chance it's a different video?
Potentially. It's of an eagle picking up a fish inside the water, correct?
Inside
with its
the water,
talons?
yeah.
Anyway. Look, it might be a new one, though, because that's obviously what they do.
Yeah, well, I'd never seen it before.
Yep.
And then...
Wait, Matty, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Did you get followed up with a second eagle video where it picks up, like, what's the animal? The fucking antelope?
Oh, yeah.
It up. That's the follow-up video. I was like, there's levels to this shit.
No, I wish I got that one. Mine took a bit more boring turn. It was just, I got a couple of people, like, putting their hands out the window and, like, birds coming through. So my algorithm at the moment is just bird shit. Bird stuff.
You know what I find strange is that you thought we'd laugh at you for that, and this bloke had measuring tapes a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, very true.
Like that is it. That's night and day. Like that's very blokey.
I will say the backlash, or not the backlash, but the overflow of that algorithm. There are other women in the Instagram space now using the measuring tape for content.
No.
Of course, I haven't been diving into like the other content creators in the space, but just
how do you know
I'm
that?
Aware of it. I'm just aware of it.
Well, how do you know?
Just seen it pop up on that like one that gives you all the options of different things.
Then the explore bit.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so it's still lingering in the explore.
Still lingering, yeah. For some reason. Obviously, I don't know how the algorithm works. Obviously.
Okay.
But,
wow. Still lingering.
At the risk of offending you twice in 3 minutes, what's your algorithm like?
Yeah. Well, my algo check for me. It's all about House of the Dragon, baby. It's all about House of the Dragon. Oh, it's such a good TV series. I love it so much. It is like, it's just good TV, and it doesn't explain everything to you. It's mature, and there's not all this bullshit there's not all this bullshit under politics that are trying to teach you a lesson about this, and all the nonsense that we see in Hollywood today, where it's just. The thing is like there's nothing wrong with telling a message with a story that you're, creating. But if the message is altering the story, that makes it inauthentic and a shit. That's what I don't want. I don't want you want to you're using a piece of art or content as a Trojan horse for a message.
Yes.
It should be the other way around. There should be a story, and it should, if the story happens to have lessons in it, then that is a good thing. So I could get 2 pieces of art. One of them has the inauthenticity of it's trying to beat you over the head with the message, and the message comes before the story. I could have the same message sent to me, but the story comes before the message, and I'm okay with it. That's what I hate about modern Hollywood is like it's all about this pandering, virtue signaling nonsense. And House of the Dragon, ironically, still has that same messaging about how little power women had back in those days, and how they had to navigate that time period. But it's a proper story, and it's not alienating both sides. It's telling a proper story of how men struggle with the power dynamics back in those days. It's just
Hang on, have you given us
show.
the teaser for this already?
Hey?
I feel like this is a new one. Have you given us the teaser for this already?
The teaser, well, this is season 2.
Okay.
This is season 2, so you got to go back and watch season 1. It's unbelievable. Look, yes, there are dragons in it, but the thing is with science fiction, like any good piece of art, there are underlying themes that are told just in a new vehicle. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a down-to-earth, very realistic setting to have the same strength of message as something like, that is very down-to-earth and very real. Like, for example, something about dragons and shit can have the same thematical strong messaging as a documentary. It just depends how you tell the story. So that's my algorithm now.
I love the way it breaks down the TV series.
Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Articulate.
It's algorithm. It's just I'm eating up with it, and I love it. Like, put it this way: what I love about the modern era of content, and we're all guilty of it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I actually love the consuming of the content around the topic rather than the actual topic. For example, I bet you there's people right now that listen to these podcasts and obviously other podcasts too, and watch the Matty John shows, all that kind of stuff, that actually secretly enjoy the content around rugby league rather than the actual game on the weekend more.
I agree.
I reckon
yeah.
There are people that just watch the highlights because they don't have all day to sit around and watch every game, but they actually are more keen for like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of all the drama around it. And that's what I love about content, especially on YouTube, is not only back in the day you used to get your art. So you'd get your movie, you'd get your book, whatever it was, and it was just standalone, the book. We'll go back further back. You got your book, and you stand alone, and you might get to talk to your friends about it, but usually your friends haven't all read the book. Nowadays, you get the book, then you get the infinite hours of discussion around the book as well. So,
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. That's why reality TV shows kicked off, I reckon. It's not the 1 hour of the... how much shit is there in a reality show standing around talking, but it's those little moments that pop off, then they're micro clips, and that's all we're talking about.
It's the discussion around it that people enjoy so much.
The gap for me between watching games on the weekend and enjoying the drama and stuff around in the week is way shorter than I'd probably like to admit.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe I'm saying this, but last night it was like 5:30, and I was like, fuck. Like, all I wanted to hear was NRL 360 about the Blues. And I was like, fuck. I was literally hanging on for it.
Well, put it this way. I reckon, and I don't even know what you've consumed so far.
Yeah.
I reckon that you've obviously consumed all the bloke content because you're part of it. I reckon you went and listened to the Buy Round podcast about Origin. I reckon you probably listened to Levels as well about Origin.
Yep.
I reckon you listened to Backstage with Matty and Coops.
Haven't got that one yet.
I reckon you probably listened to Hello Sport Boys as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Think about that. So that's what, let's just say 6 hours.
Yeah.
That's more than the game.
That's way more than the game.
true.
That's like fucking 3 or 4 times the game.
Yeah.
And I bet you your whole day revolved around think of the happiness it brought you.
Oh.
So normally you'd be at work, just working, but now you're at work loving life because you're hearing about how good the Blues were all day long and all different takes and different angles, and everyone has they might have the same opinion but different way of approaching it.
Yeah. And then add on that all my group chats are just popping off for the last 24 hours. So I'm talking about it with people.
Then the memes and stuff as well.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, it's the best.
My Algo House of the Dragon, I'm all about that. I'm all in it. I wish you guys had children because I want to ask you, when are you dropping the knee, bros? Are we dropping knee territory here? We can cut this out if you want.
Technically, yeah. No, technically, yes, but this is a tough one. It's not that I don't believe in marriage. Okay,
Oh,
break
here we
this.
go. Here we
go with
fucking
me on
go.
this.
Conspiracy theories, doesn't believe in marriage. Fuck yeah, hell.
Yeah.
All right, walk me through it, mate.
Go
Walk
with me
me
on
through
this.
it. Okay.
So my thoughts are that
I'm
when you
hoping.
get married,
Yep.
you become husband and wife.
Yes.
Now, traditionally, think about the stereotype or what happens when you become husband and wife. You can fall into the trap of like things get a little bit lull and the way you communicate, all of these things. So by
Complacency?
taking that tag, you become husband and wife. My fear is by not allowing that to happen, do you maintain the, not even spark, but do you avoid that situation? I'm not saying it always happens, but
Yep.
you go with me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I understand what
That's
you're
my
saying.
worry and concern.
You're worried about falling into the stereotype that has been created generation after generation of like, all right, you've told by everyone, like society tells you, get a house,
is what
get a
you have to do,
wife,
so you
have a
have to be,
kid,
yes.
you've got a ring on your finger, you've got to go and work a 9-to-5 job, get home because you've seen it on TV, you've seen it, all the negative stuff when, relationships break up. I get where you're coming from. I really do. And I, to a degree, I agree with you. I think that, like, for example, and, look, I'm no genius when it comes to finance. But for example, we're constantly told we have to buy a house.
Yeah.
We have to buy, from literally 1 year old.
Even more so as a footy player, that's like
buy a house,
have a kid, done.
Buy a house, buy a house, buy a house. And it's like, bro, it's called a mortgage for a reason. Like, it literally means till death or something like that. Get the Latin, what mortgage means up in Latin, because it literally, I'm telling you, like means death or some shit like that. Anyway, look, I'm not suggesting that real estate isn't a good financial investment. But, if you've got the cash and you want to do that, it's a safe way
Definitely
to put,
can be, yes.
Put cash in something that, like, obviously cash, inflation happens. You don't want cash sitting in a bank. You'd rather an asset that usually is going to go up. But we've always been told, buy a house, get a mortgage, and then you do this and you do that. And it's like, why? What's the difference? I understand me owning a house and I understand the concept of like dead rent money. I get all that. But if the government wants to take your house, they're taking your house. Like, and it's a kind of like, I know that you've got a little bit more say in, what your house is and owning it. But like at the end of the day, a house is just where your family is. Your home is just wherever your family is. So to force yourself, to stretch yourself financially, to get a mortgage, to be locked in for the rest of your life, essentially. Like my dad still hasn't paid off his house. And so all it is constraints. And I feel like, again, I'm with you on the conspiracy theory here. I feel like governments and that, in with the banks, they want people with mortgages.
Yes,
They
100%.
want you beholden to banks for the rest of your life. They want you constantly paying interest for the rest of your life. As I said, I understand from a financial perspective that you can build assets. I get all that. But from a purely perspective, let's say you're not looking to just build a real estate portfolio and you're just looking to live a really happy, good life. Why do you need to own that house? If you take out the fact that, yes, if you're renting a house, they can come to you and say, when your contract's up, you're moving out. But it's like outside of that, I don't walk home to my home right now, which is just a unit with 2 bedrooms. I don't walk in the door and go, damn, this would feel way better if I owned it. The home is where my family is.
You have invested in property.
No.
Yeah.
No. Because I personally think, for me personally, I would rather invest in my business that can
I've
have
always
bigger returns,
shared the same
less risk, and more flexibility.
Yeah.
Also, in my opinion, guys, don't take this advice at all because it's probably fucking terrible advice. But me personally, I haven't met very many people that have gotten rich purely off real estate. What I mean by that is they may have been rich already from their job. They took that money and bought a bunch of real estate and they got rich in that way. I haven't seen someone from the bottom with no money build money up, buy real estate, buy more real estate. There are people out there that have done that for sure. But the majority of people, that does not happen. There's a 5%.
Yeah, I was going to say it. You took the words out of my mouth.
There's a 5%
who put their eggs in that basket, strategic investors, use the equity, use the assets, negative gear it for tax, all this stuff. But if you're not the 5%, you have to ask yourself, did I buy a house because I thought it was the thing to do, the right thing to do?
Exactly.
And you acknowledge it as like, that's success because I bought this house.
Yep.
But really underlying, you're in debt. You're working to pay off the house and it can be a vicious cycle. So there is two narratives.
Sides to it. And look, I get it. Dead rent, I get it. You'd rather spend money into a house that you own, you can build it up. I get all that. I just think that same 5% that everyone goes, oh, look at such and such, they built a portfolio from nothing to something. if they put that same work into something else, they would have the same result.
Yeah.
So
I've always wanted to use my capital for business and taking up opportunities.
It's not the real estate that's made them rich. It's it's just the vehicle that made them rich. It's their practices and their ability to invest correctly or generate revenue that has made them rich, not the real estate. If they put it this way, the way I see it is like all my money and all my time, effort, I believe the biggest return for me is in the business.
Yep.
And so I've never been a big fan of real estate. And also I do think there is a kind of societal and cultural norm that has been generated by governments to tell the population, put it this way, imagine everyone woke up tomorrow and said, you know what, we're no longer going to, we can't even buy houses anyway. We're not buying houses anymore. What do you reckon the government would do? Do you reckon they'd be okay with that?
Fuck no.
No chance.
No way.
So I do reckon that we are conditioned to just believe that you have to buy a house. And if you haven't bought a house, then you're not successful. That is the message that has been taught to us, which is some of the richest people in the world, anyway. So
it's a crazy world we live in, though. If you're not willing to break away from the confinements of what we've been bred to do, like, are we bred to be entrepreneurs? Fuck no. Who teaches you about business? Who teaches you about that stuff? We're bred to be employees, unfortunately. Like,
as in, when you say bred, you mean society tells us to be employees,
yes, like
not employers.
We're a product of our conditioning, our environment, what we've learned, and through education system, through everything, all the information we consume. We are not guided and influenced to be these amazing people that go out and take risks and start businesses and innovate and do all this stuff. If everyone did that, it'd be a huge problem for, say, the powers that be.
One of the conspiracies is that's why school started. It was to educate and almost brainwash is a strong word, but it was to basically educate voters and create workers for the what do you got there, Matty? What does mortgage mean?
Death pledge. Death
Boom.
pledge.
There you go. Beak hitting you with some facts.
Sell up, boys. Back it up.
Get out of it. And look, I know there's finance people right now that are pulling their hair out going, you two absolute muppets don't know what you're talking about. So let me ease your mind. First of all, I know I don't know what I'm talking about. Second of all, I personally believe my investment strategy into my own businesses is where I want to put my time. So I'm not poo-pooing real estate. You can make money in real estate. All that. For me personally, though, I just don't know if it's it's not for me. It's not for me.
I think it's just going back to questioning why you're doing it. As long as you're doing it for the right reasons and you do have a strategy, you do have a plan, you do have a long-term investment goal, that might be different. But if you're just doing it because your perception is this is what success is, like if I buy a house, I bought a house.
Yep.
But like that can't be it.
If you're doing it like, society's telling me to buy a house, and they always say, you make hundreds of thousands of dollars in 10 years. Let's say you bought a house and you're stretching yourself financially to pay that house off. And I know people are really struggling right now, so this is not to suggest like, we're so smart and people that have houses not. Absolutely not, guys, as I said. But like, let's say you stretch yourself to buy a house and you just did it because you were told to do it. All that time and energy to pay that house off over the next 10 years, imagine you put that into something else like your own business, your own venture, whether it's, the stock market's in a safe, way. I just see it as, I feel like a lot of people, because you know why I say that? Because I did it. I was 22 years old and I was on a tiny contract and everyone told me, buy a house, mate. You got to be smart. You got to be smart. You got to buy a house. You got to buy a house. So I went and did it. It was the dumbest thing I ever did. Didn't make any money in the house. All it did is cost me money and waste of time.
So on the flip side to that, I have a different story. We were at Canberra, and I think it was Terry Campese. He was probably like the first entrepreneurial guy I come across playing footy. Had a couple crust pizzas, and he's like, "Boys, we've got this opportunity for an apartment." And I didn't give a shit. I had money. I was like, "Yeah, sweet." So we all invested in these apartments in Woden, which is now a thriving community. We got it pre-planned, probably 6 months before. I paid my money, whatever. And I had to sell it after all the legal issues with the suspension. I sold that before it was even completed for an 80 grand profit, which I used to pay all this stuff, but I'd be sitting on probably a $500,000 asset right now, which fucking pisses me off. I just wish I had someone to say, don't sell it, find a way, go through the struggles. Like, what are we talking about? I had to come up with 15 grand or just tough it out for a few months, but at the time there was no one to do that. And that is a bit of a regret, that one.
Yeah, and so like, as I said, guys, it is smart to put your money in physical assets. I am not sitting here saying don't buy a house at all. Just for me personally, I put him. Everything's going into my businesses. That's
back to the marriage stuff, though. What I will say is, it's a beautiful moment to acknowledge the commitment to someone and the wedding. Like, to have a wedding and celebrate the love with someone else in front of all your loved ones. Like, that is mad. So I think in reality, me and Becky, we're going to Vegas, close friends, and just fucking send it.
Just do it. Okay. Because so on the flip side of that,
What was your wedding day?
just really, really close family.
Yeah.
Really, really close family. The flip side of that is there's something, and maybe this is me being conditioned by society, but there is something beautiful about putting it down on paper and acknowledging it in tangible ways that you are my wife, this is my son, we are a family. Like, it's on paper. It's something to be proud of. And I've really, really noticed it even more with having a son. It's like when you get home, like, this is my tribe. This is my crew. And like, whatever we go through, we're going through together. There's something beautiful about that. And it's all official. There's another thing as well. One of the best days of my life. I remember opening Instagram and I hadn't spoke to the wife about it or whatever. And underneath her Instagram, it said Amelia Sinkson Kemp. The pride that you feel is like
that's true. The last name thing as well, yeah.
And look, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of like, should they take the last name or whatever, but the pride you feel when you see them with your last name is like, honestly, next level. And so that's what I like about marriage. It's officially saying we are one unit now. We are a family. It's all official. It's not just like, airy-fairy and we're just saying it to each other. We are contractually together now going forward. It's almost like entering a new tribe. And so, yeah, I think marriage is a good thing for sure.
You're up, aren't you, Matty?
Sorry?
You're up, aren't you?
What do you mean by up?
You dropped the knee?
No, not yet.
Oh, wow. Well,
Not
Matty's
yet.
got to be.
Not yet.
He'll be dropping a knee.
Yeah,
He'll drop a knee. How long you reckon? 24, 36 months?
Yeah.
Are we in drop knee territory or do we need to cut this out?
No. We don't need to cut it out. We're not in drop knee territory in the immediate future, but I reckon probably 2025. Next year.
So that's fucking pretty immediate. That's 12 months away. That's fucking 6 months away.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to do it tomorrow. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. I tell you what is weird is so I've obviously got my son, and this might be just a me thing, and maybe you guys will experience it, or maybe you'll get what I'm saying. Fathers out there, I want to know in the comment section. So I've got a son, and my wife wants another child, which is fine. Like, I was always expecting that. I'm okay with having a girl because I want a girl. I want a beautiful little girl, whatever. But if I have a son, I feel disloyal to my first son. So I feel...
if you have another son.
If I have another son, even a daughter to a little degree, by having another kid, I'm feeling disloyal to the current one because it's like, it's me and you against the world, bro. No one else, it's just me and you. It's me and you, bro. And I'd love to know, fathers, do they also struggle with that? Now, granted, I get it. As soon as you have that new kid, you're going to be like, what are you talking about?
Do you have a brother?
I have a brother. I grew up in a family.
Younger or older?
Older. So, like, that's what's crazy is, like, I grew up in a family and it's so important. And I know it's best for him to have a brother or a sister. But it just, for some bizarre reason, it feels disloyal. It feels like I'm, not replacing him, but, he's supposed to get all my attention. It's a very strange feeling. And as I said, I know once you have the kid, everyone's going to say in the comments, trust me, bro, once you have the kid, you're not even going to think about it, which I know I will. But right now, you feel disloyal.
In your scenario, who was the golden child?
Everyone says it's me. Everyone says it's me, but I disagree strongly. But yeah, it is weird. I'd love to know in the comments, fathers of more than one kid, or fathers that just have one kid at the moment. Do you feel disloyal about having another kid? I would hate. It hurts me inside to imagine my son feeling jealous about me loving something else. That fucking hurts me. I don't want him to ever feel that.
How far apart are you and your brother?
2 or 3 years.
Oh, yeah. See, I was 5 years and it's too much.
Too much.
By the time you get to, 10, 12, you can't play with him. You beat him in every video game. He's shit at sport. So it's like, it's hard. No. Because the age gap.
Holy
I know what you're saying.
I'm 12 and he's 7. It's like, bro, you can't. Well, this is.
It was just funny how you said it.
You can't play the games. You can't
talk about hating your older brother.
Younger brother.
Younger brother. Just smashing him. Anyway, as I said, I agree with you, mate. I think that I think that there's so many things that we do just because we're conditioned to do it. Now, on the flip side of that, I do also think there is a benefit in a cohesive society to have norms, to have tradition, to have culture. I'm a big fan of tradition and culture. There's a reason why certain things have lasted thousands and thousands of years. So, like, I'm the kind of guy, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of guy. Respect tradition, respect culture. And look, when you're like, I don't know about you boys, when I was 18, early 20s, when someone talked about tradition and history, like, I don't give a shit about the past. And, we're here now. Like, why are we worrying about the past? Let's worry about the future. Let's progress forward. It hasn't been until I gotten older, like late 20s and 30s, where I've realized, like, how important it is to respect tradition, to respect culture, your history, because it can give you a really, really good sense of where you're going if you look at your history and
100%.
and what, like, mistakes you've made and, things that need to progress. And, like, a really good example, I didn't even, funny that I'm talking about this, because if you had said to me 5 years ago that I would be voluntarily watching the women's game last night, Queensland versus New South Wales, I would have said, and this is just 5 years ago, I would have said, you've got rocks in your head. There's no way. I might watch it because it's my job. I might watch little highlights here or there. But for me to be on the edge of my seat, yelling at my telephone. Oh my God. Yelling at my phone.
5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago. Yelling at my phone screen, wanting Queensland to win, I would have said you got rocks in your head.
Yeah.
And so that just shows you how important it is to, like, look at the past and go, look at the times you've been wrong about stuff that you were so sure about. That, like, I was so sure that I wouldn't enjoy that. And then we're 5 years ahead and I'm like, oh, I do enjoy it. I do enjoy
It's
it.
funny you say that. I saw a thing today, it's true, it said the worst group of people that I want to be sitting around a circle with is me at 13, me at 16, me at 21, me at 25.
Yeah, you just learn so much.
Because you just,
bro.
yeah.
So guys, obviously we've been a bit, a bit we're joking a little bit in regards to the house and the finance stuff, but it's more just about, think about when you actually take a step back and you think about how many decisions you make just because it's always been that way.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why is it that way? Like, oh yeah, well, we always used to do this. Well, why did we always used to do this? Well, like, why do we have to buy a house when we're 21
I think
years
about
old?
that shit all the time.
Yeah.
And there's so many things you can question in your life and the decisions you make. I got one more thing for you. A little bit deep for the packer up boys. If you're in the car,
No,
you're
we
listening
don't
to the
mind.
potty. So one more thing. My partner's already been married at a young age.
Yep.
So I feel like I should rewrite that moment and opportunity
I like
for
that,
her. I
yeah.
think that would be, so put all my bullshit things aside, weigh my perception of marriage, put that aside, and what a beautiful moment it would be for marriage to be remembered in a nice way, a beautiful way.
Absolutely.
I think that alone is
special.
probably the thing.
Get
Yeah,
like
that's
that
nice.
relationship with one of the most, whether we like to admit or not, like, women, marriage is like their marriage day and marriage. It's a big
And I
part
could
of
rewrite that memory.
it's almost like a transition into womanhood to a degree. Just like, there's things that happen in men's life
Yeah.
where you go from a boy to a man. I think a lot of women, like, I don't know, I'm not saying marriage, like getting married is a transition to womanhood at all. What I'm saying is it's a huge life event to a lot of women. Like, growing up, I didn't sit there ever thinking about what my wedding day is going to be like, what wedding dress
Yes.
I'll wear, who the person's going to be. Whereas a lot of women, at least in my experience, guys, I'm not talking about all women, just in my experience, they think about that stuff from a pretty young age about, what dress they're going to wear, how it's going to be. Maybe it's because they're just watching, Hollywood and that's where they get their ideas of it. So to be able to rewrite a big life event like that for your partner, like that's special.
Yeah, and
That's
just
special.
break down what you said there. When you think about marriage, like a man, someone that you connect with, a partner that you love, the man approaches you and says that they want to be with you to confess their love. So for a woman, that is a big milestone. That is a big moment. That's amazing for someone to choose you and want to spend the rest of their life with you. So I completely agree. Like, why wouldn't that be something a woman would want to aspire to?
There's nothing wrong with wanting a special moment like that in your life. I will say, I thought I was a man until we got married, and then you have a kid and you realize, oh, this is actually what a man is. And I think you'll go through that your whole life. Like, you'll always think that you're at a point where you know where you're at. Like, oh, I'm 28 right now and I've got a job, I can pay my own bills, I'm a man. And then you have a kid and you got like this little family unit. And also when I got married as well, I'm like, oh, this is what a man is like. Now I've got a person that I'm married to that's relying on me to make sure that we have a good life. Also, my wife will also do what she can, but you're a partnership. If one's not pulling their weight, then you're pulling the other one down. And no man ever wants to be responsible for dragging their wife down. Like, I mean, you're not a man. If you're dragging your wife down, you're not a man. But yeah, so no,
I think we've unpacked some good stuff.
Oh, we've unpacked it. That's what people come here for.
I'm feeling Kempy MCing at your wedding too, Matty, I reckon.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, sweet.
Listen, mate, I'll invoice you. I don't know if you'll be able to cost.
Go live.
Okay. Yeah, I'll produce
In
it.
these chairs, in the back corner, just throwing fucking shade.
I'll review it. live.
That would be so good.
Yes, I would love fathers to know that. Do you feel disloyal by having another kid? I'd never want to look across and see my son jealous of me loving another kid, even though I know once I have that kid, it's not going to feel like that. It's not going to feel like that at all. But
Just
it is a weird
you're
feeling.
hoping for the pink balloon pop. That's what we're chasing.
Well, I don't mind. Like, I seriously don't mind. But I would love a daughter.
Yeah,
I would love a daughter. You know, there's just something about being able to take care of her that is appealing to me. I don't know what it is. Like, I just want to take care of a little daughter. And it's the same with my son as well. Like, it's just so good being able to take care of him and seeing him play in the grass. And
How old is he now?
about 10 months. But yeah, anyway, you've got your life advice. Life advice. Anything else going on in the algorithm, boys?
No, not besides the Eagles pulling out fish of the water. No, nothing.
No, okay. Well, there you go. Alrighty, last night. Oh, well, actually, you know what? We'll talk about Sportsbet. Don't forget, give me a follow on the feed, guys, on Sportsbet. You go to Sportsbet app, you go to feed, give us a follow. Takes 2 seconds and you can see the bets. I haven't put my bets up yet for the weekend, but I obviously had a bunch for Wednesday Origins game. And also, guys, don't forget, use code Campbell for free delivery on Menulog this week. That's CAMPBELL for free delivery. Download the app. Use it. As you know, guys, you get discounts every single week. And if you download the app and if you use Menulog, every time you use Menulog and you use our codes, they can track that and see that you're supporting the show. So if you use other apps or whatever to order food, use Menulog, use the codes. Not only do you get a discount, but you're also supporting Bloke, and they see that. Last night, the women get it done. I tell you what was so special about this victory for Queensland? Game 1, dominated. It looked like, and I was even saying, I don't know how this Queensland team can go with this New South Wales team. They're too big, they're too powerful, they're just too good on paper as well. Game 2, they're easily beaten for 60 minutes of that game. New South Wales completely dominate field position. They miss a bunch of opportunities. They could have easily iced the game numerous times. Queensland hang in there. 10 minutes to go. I think they score a try, then they do a field goal. They convert a field goal, and they win the match. Even then, going into Game 3, they're not favourites for the match. They are outsiders up in Townsville as well. So they're outsiders. So most people sitting there going, look, yet last game was a bit of a blunder from New South Wales. They're a much better team on paper, all that good stuff. They go up to Townsville. Not only do Queensland win, they completely dominate New South Wales and prove, whether it's men or women's, Origin is a different beast. Once you put on the sky blue or the maroon jersey, club form, what your form is on paper, how big your contract is back at your club, how many fans you've got, means nothing. This Queensland team absolutely dominated New South Wales. Outside of the first 5 or so minutes, they just controlled the whole game. They got 8-0 up. They scored. Brown with incredible converting and great game. Gee, she's so good, Brown, the dummy half. She's so good. They got 8-0 up and they didn't look back. From that 8-0 period, they just completely dominated the game, pretty much from start to finish. There was a little fight back with an incredible intercept from Chapman. But outside of that, it was woe to go. Queens to get the job done. And I tell you what, couldn't be more proud to be a Queenslander. I was just so proud watching them do that in a Queensland jersey, get the victory, get the series win. It is the first ever 3-game series and Queensland won. Queensland won. Also, the last 5 years, Queensland have won 4 out of the 5 Origin series in the women's game. Think about growing game, a population that's half of New South Wales, maybe less, and yet they've managed to win 4 of the last 5 Origin series. It's an incredible feat. Game 1, the half they have in there, they make the tough decision. They drop the half, Queensland do, bring in Alan Brigginshaw, who was playing 13, put her at 7, and they managed to win the series. An amazing performance.
The season's not even live.
Season hasn't even started.
You got to think about that.
They got local footy.
Yeah.
So there's an argument to be had. So up in Brisbane, there's a local comp that they play, whereas in New South Wales, the local comp doesn't start yet. But apparently a lot of the girls went up to the Brisbane comp. the New South Wales girls. And on top of that, they also had a 7 or 8 week camp leading into the series. That's why they blasted Queensland off the park, because they'd been together for 7 weeks or so. But that can't replicate week in, week out footy. I will say, if they can find a way to get this towards the end of the NRLW season, do it. Please do it. Because half the excitement, what did we just talk about for so long? Half the excitement around content you consume is the hype. It's the discussion. It's all that. If you have NRLW going, you get all that. You get the hype, the discussion. Whereas NRLW is not going, there's no hype. There's no discussion. And that's coming from a bloke, I'm in rugby league.
Yeah.
Like, it's my job to consume rugby league, and even I don't know how the girls are going, or I know some of the big names, but outside of that, I don't know most of those girls.
Selection, you're not being able to follow the players, 100%.
Absolutely. Whereas in NRLW, I don't watch every NRLW game, but I keep tabs on it. I see some of the highlights, so I can see some of the hype, and I can get involved in it. So I hope they can find a way. And look, first 3-game series, and I'm pretty sure they sold out each game.
It's crazy.
Could you check the last game?
Yeah.
I know they sold out game 1, game 2. Like,
it's wild.
I don't think. Okay, so if you're younger, I don't know, if you're 18 right now.
I don't think they sold out game 1, but they got their record.
They got their record. Sold out game 2.
Sold out game 2.
And it was a packed stadium I was looking at last night, so at least close to it. For people that are 18 years old, or just at least younger, I don't think you understand. When I was growing up, if you said that women would be playing rugby league, you would have been like, oh, what a crazy tiny subset % of women that they're just crazy. Like, they're just like different. They just, they're tomboys, air quotes. That's what they would be considered 30 years ago. I don't think you understand how far it's come. Growing up, most women didn't sit there and go, I can have a life in sport. They just didn't. They didn't think like that. Now, granted, yes, there were women's sport that were successful, but most women that played touch footy, that did all of, like, not the individual sports like your tennises and your golfs and that, like, they just didn't have the option in their head. It was just not there.
I don't think any male sports or any contact sports were actually available when we were young for women.
I mean, it was there, but it was like played, like you didn't even know it was there pretty much. That's how small it was. So, like, the mindset of the girls of our generation, they literally just didn't think they could play a team sport professionally. Whereas young men and boys, like, it was always in my head, I can be a professional athlete. Like, that's my dream. That's my hope. To come all the way to the point where in 25, 30 years of going from that, where a lot of young women don't even consider the thought of playing sport.
I don't even think they had the option.
The option of it.
No.
To essentially get close to selling out 3 stadium fulls in a game, in the first ever 3-game series. It shows you, first of all, how wrong we can be about things like this. And again, this is coming from a bloke that 5 years ago, if you said to me, I'm not one of those derricks that get on their soapbox now and virtue sing, like, I've always been a supporter of the women's game, and I wasn't. Like, in the sense of like, I wasn't going to watch it. Wasn't interested in it. I'm not going to lie about that. And this is how far I've come by just the improvement of the quality. Now, does that mean I'm going to watch every game from here on out? No, I don't think so. Look, maybe sometime in the future, I was wrong 5 years ago. Maybe it's 10 years down the line I do. But it doesn't mean that I'm not way more engaged with the women's game than I was, even 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they're also starting behind the 8 ball. Like, if they've only started having these opportunities to play these sports 5-10 years ago, of course there's a development phase to get them to a point where the skill level and everything else is at a level where we actually want to consume it. And that's nothing against the girls. It's that they haven't had the opportunity to develop themselves. But now, we reflected on this last time against the AFL, like, they're head and shoulders above.
Way. And also, like, it's funny when I see people comparing it to the men's game, they go, oh, this is shit compared to the men's game. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You either admit that, like, women are physically not as strong as men, and there are genetical differences and all that kind of stuff. If you admit that, you also have to admit, well, of course it's not as explosive, as fast as the men's game. You can't go, oh, this is shit compared to the men's game, but then also say women obviously have biological differences to men. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not a 100-meter sprint. It's not like for like.
Well, it's either one or the other. You either say men and women have no biological differences and the women's game is way shitter than men's game, or you admit men and women have differences, therefore the games are going to be different, and we can't judge them by the same standard because they don't have the same tools. It's like walking into someone has a shovel that's like, a metre long, and someone has a shovel that's like 25 centimetres long. And it's like blaming the person with a 25 centimetre shovel for not being able to dig as hard as the one with the metre shovel. Who would do that?
No, I agree.
It doesn't make sense. So,
But the good thing is the gap is being bridged, and how cool is it?
and the more resources that they can put in, the better it gets. So judge it on its own merits.
Yeah.
Game 2, the standard was. Game 1 standard was outstanding. Game 2, standard was good. Game 3, it was a super scrappy game. Standard wasn't as good, but it was exciting.
It was also raining for both two of 3
What was
games.
the crowd?
So it was 23,000. Capacity is 25. So that's
mad.
like some people probably didn't turn up. Like so, it's basically a sellout for game 3. So I went into this game pretty confident that Blues would win because I just assumed. I've never been in Townsville. I just assume it's 40 degrees all the time. But when I saw that Queensland were that we were favourites, it just an hour out, I was
Never
like,
good.
it didn't smell good. Like I was just like,
Never good
oh,
against
this
Queensland
isn't
to be
good.
the
You know what's crazy as well is
Yeah.
like Queensland had won 3 of the last 4, and yet New South Wales were favourites heading into game 2. I understand game 3 why they were favourites.
Yeah,
so
me too.
They were substantially better in game 1 and 2.
Yeah.
For 80 minutes and then for 70 minutes and for 60 minutes they were substantially better.
Yeah.
But Queensland just do what Queensland do. Like they just rock up to that game 3. And also I'm not saying you don't need to watch every game. If you don't enjoy it, don't watch it.
Yeah.
But if we can find a way to get the key is we need women watching it. That's the key.
Yes.
The key is
100%.
you can't look if men watch it, that is great. Like that's awesome. But that should be seen as a bonus because men aren't going to watch both. They don't have enough time. Everyone's got a lot to do, a lot of work. So we need to find a way for women to watch the game because that's how it will explode is women watching the women's game because there will be some men that enjoy watching the women's game and they'll watch both or maybe they'll even change the women's game. But at the end of the day, if this is to grow its own legs and be its own thing, it needs women.
Audience,
Needs a female audience. Well, I mean, look, crazy things have happened. It could be a male audience, but I personally believe it needs a female audience.
Yeah, especially like in the next 10 or 20 years, with little girls watching the games.
Yes.
Like that's how it's gonna.
It needs a female audience to get to the level that,
It needs a female audience, but that also gives it longevity as well because like it needs to have its own base that is just dedicated to that. It can't afford to have men that watch NRL that also sometimes switch on the NRLW. So if they can find a way to just get as many women as involved, and as I always say, even if you are not even interested a wink in the NRLW, even if you have no care for it, you're like, nah, don't like it, don't enjoy it. Rugby league and NRL will get better and bigger if NRLW wins the battle to the other women's sports. It will get huge. If we can win that battle and beat AFLW and compete with the Matildas and all that kind of stuff, the size of rugby league will explode overnight.
But it's the same argument. Like there are women that watch rugby league, but you can't say all women watch rugby league, right? The men's sport. So if we were to capture those people and they were watching rugby league and it was females, like we're capturing a whole huge
Massive.
audience that we're not targeting.
Alrighty, the fallout 2 days since Origin 2 went to New South Wales. I'll ask you, mate, Matty. Actually, I'll ask you, Sandor, how you feeling, mate, after game on Wednesday?
Unbelievable. It makes me question what I did think, which is, if that didn't happen, that early send-off, were we on track to win that game? If we break down the game, how close it was considering, were we on track to whitewash them in game 1? But, mate, that was just honestly ridiculous. The way the Blues play. If that was your first ever rugby league game, you're looking at Mitchell Moses as Andrew Johns. Like, it was unbelievable.
Maui Johns?
It was unbelievable. You know what I mean? So I don't know what the rev up was. I don't know what the plan was. There was talks about strategy and game plan and execution, but everyone just looked that confident. It was fucking good to see, though. And look, what did we all want? We wanted a game 3.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously during the game, very excited. It was the best. There's nothing better. Yesterday, very, very happy, but I've like literally catapulted myself back to earth because we've seen this before. We've seen this before twice in the last 3 years.
It's bigger. 44-12,
Yeah.
I think it was, 2022.
22, and then same as 2020, like the unlosable series. We pumped you in game 2. Queensland came out and ambushed us. So I took my 24 hour. Like if you're allowed to be salty for 48 hours,
Salty bitch theory.
salty bitch theory, you're allowed to be stoked in a game 2 for 24. I reckon even less time because.
You're right, though. Would have rather a close win. That way, now we get the Queensland who's got a point to prove.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, it's not good.
Yeah.
I think heading into game 3, I'm really keen to see how Mitchell Moses conducts the team without as much momentum as he had in game 2 because everything went right for the Blues in that first 30 minutes. Like everything. Every play landed. They got 6. It was 6-0 the penalty count if you include 6 agains. Queensland were terrible. Like, so it was the perfect storm to put on the clinic. And that is, that is not taking away anything from the clinic. Like, Mitchell Moses was an outstanding performance, but everything worked. And so it's going to be really interesting to see if he gets out to Suncorp and things don't work, does he get frustrated because they worked so seamlessly in game 2? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they're not, there's no way in hell that at Suncorp, New South Wales are going to get a 6-0 penalty count to open the match. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Not a chance. Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting to see how Mitch and the Blues do. Like, because let's say we go back to that first 20 minutes and let's say they get 3 less penalties and also Queensland don't drop the ball 3 times. What happens to the game then? Like, where does the game go from there? Do they withstand that pressure coming back at them and then just completely blow them off the park? Because that's probably the scenario they're going to find themselves in for game 3, is that they'll probably dominate because that's what they do. They're a big forward pack, big outside backs. They'll get field position. But once that bounce back happens, if they can withstand that pressure and absorb it, it could be a clinic for New South Wales up at Suncorp, which would be incredible.
There's 2 reasons why I've got faith that Moses can do that, and I'm really hoping he does. Number one's his long kicking game. It was ridiculous. And like Hegan, even if we're getting not dominated, because, if you're getting dominated, you're not going to do anything. But even if we're not completely on the front foot, his long kicks could get us out of trouble. So that's what I'm hoping. The second thing is last year. Yeah. Sorry, the second thing is last year when Blues got pumped in game 2, like terrible. It was a terrible game. When Queensland won the series, Mitch was one of the few players that could hold his head high in that game. Like he no one played well, but he didn't have a terrible game. He was all right. It was only his second Origin game, so he was playing off the back foot that game as well. Look, we didn't win that game. We didn't even get close, but that's what fills me with a little bit of hope.
Well, the only problem is you look at the first 10 minutes for the first game, the first 5 or so minutes for Queensland, maybe a bit longer. There were multiple line breaks in both games. So what I mean by that is that even with everything going wrong for Queensland, they were still able to break New South Wales' line.
And to be fair, that's our start. Our first, say the 10th minute to the 30th minute, really glossed over that first 10 minutes when Sewell went through. I think Reece Walsh found a bit of space. Like, everyone forgot about that.
Yeah.
Because Blues just piled on the tries. Queensland started really well.
And so it's going to be interesting. In regards to performances, though, seriously, it's one of the best first half performances I've ever seen in Origin.
You don't really see that sort of momentum swing in Origin. It's always an arm wrestle. Yeah, you get little bits of blowouts, a couple tries get put on, but I've never seen that big of a momentum swing.
I've never seen Queensland or New South Wales, and I'm probably forgetting, but I've never seen it in Origin, every single play executed and they scored off it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Usually a ball goes to ground, or a line is running correctly, or a tackle is made.
Or there's epic defence that saves it.
Something happens whereas whatever New South Wales wanted to do, they literally did it. Like the short ball to begin with, the early ball to Latrell. Like, if you had said that Latrell in the first 10 or 15 minutes is going to get the ball exactly where everyone wishes he would get it, you would have said, look, it just doesn't work like that. That's maybe in the 60th minute or the 70th minute. They built up to it. He got the ball inside the 30-metre line, inside, in New South Wales, good ball. Outside of Val Holmes with space to move. Like, that doesn't usually happen. I've never seen everything that a team tried to execute in Origin, they did execute. It was an incredible first half.
We got Blues fans might not admit it, but we got the bounce of the ball all game. Or in the first half.
In the first half.
Everything that could have gone right went right. Like, even, I can't remember who kicked it. Let's say Moses put up a bomb really early in the game. I don't think a point had been scored. And it landed just before the try line and literally took a sideways turn and bounced out instead of going dead. Like, even just little things like that.
It's a perfect storm.
It was.
You can have a perfect storm. You've still got to capitalise on it. And that's what Mitchell Moses did. The momentum was on their side, but he capitalised it. For example, second half, momentum was all on Queensland's side. They didn't score friggin' 30 points, Yeah. They didn't score 30 points. And so to suggest, yes, things can go your way. It does not take away from how good New South Wales were. Now, I've got to say, though, the ref has to put the whistle away for Game 3. Honestly,
It's got to go.
Please, for the love of God. Because the thing that frustrated me, let's say from a Queensland
What about the
perspective,
sin bin, bro?
we'll get to it. Let's say that first half, from a Queensland perspective, you're sitting there going, far out. We are getting no 50-50 calls, and New South Wales are getting every 50-50 call. Okay, that's Origin, that happens. But in the second half, for the ref to come out and just like try to even it up and go, so, okay, New South Wales, they got 6 penalties in a row. Now I'm going to go and give Queensland like 8 or 9 penalties in a row. I'd rather the ref come out and just ref it normally. If we get pumped by 60, we get pumped by 60. That is, like, don't try and... Look, maybe he didn't try to ref Queensland back in the game, but I just think it's very weird that you can go 6-0 and then all of a sudden become so undisciplined that you go 9-0 on the back end of that. If we're going to get pumped as Queenslanders, just get pumped, let it happen. So, yeah, I just didn't like that. That's the one bit that I just didn't like from the game.
Nah, me neither. It was... Look, to me, Blues got all the calls in the first 30 minutes and then it just switched like that.
There's just always been this thing with Origin, though. I'm not saying that we changed the rules, but there's always been an opportunity where the same things that would get called, there's just been a little bit more freedom usually applied from the refs, and it is free flowing, and you take away all those little
players sort it
things.
out. Like let the players sort it out. Like put the whistle away.
Unwritten rule.
What was the ended up being like 4 penalties all up or something in last year's grand final?
Yeah, it was 3-2.
3-2,
Best.
and that includes 6 against.
Nah, 3 alls with 6 against.
3 all, including 6 against.
Yeah.
Best.
Put it away.
1-6 again for the whole game. I'll double check, but I'm 98% sure. There was some penalties where, like, obviously Latrell head high, penalty.
Yeah.
Liam Martin spear tackle, penalty.
Yeah.
But like the flop that you showed me yesterday,
Lindsay Collins.
like, come on.
The DCE 6 again on his own. Like some of them are just like, what are we doing here? And then also on the flip side, like I think Lomax got head high, goes up to the bunker. You can see him getting hit in the head, and they're just like, no penalty against. Like, it's just
weird.
Both teams got absolutely dud calls, and that's why I just put it away. Let the boys sort them out. You know, if you need to give extra meters, or like let them know, guys. I'm going to let you sort it out, but I'm telling you right now, when I do blow a penalty, just so you know, that's a warning to you that like I'm being really firm with this. For example, let's say he's letting the boys sort it out, and one team is always offside. As soon as he gives that penalty away, that 10, that's like inside the 10, he should say to the captain, just so you know, I'm going to ping you for the rest of the game unless you pull your heads in. You know what I'm saying? Because that's giving the players the opportunity to sort it out, but also doing what a ref should do is reacting to that and going, you're taking the piss, I gave you the opportunity, you took the piss, there's your first penalty, you do it again, and I am going to be so anal about it until you...
warning.
And so if you want to walk away and complain that you got too many penalties against you, you've got no defence, because I told you at the start of the game, and we let you sort it out. You took the piss, you got the warning with the penalty, and then after that, you wouldn't listen, so I'm just going to smash you with it. Like,
What was your thoughts on that one where it went to the bunker? I think it was Dylan Edwards trying to play the ball.
Edwards, yeah.
mate, there's no way that's a penalty. Like,
Well,
he clearly milked it. We're talking about Dylan Edwards, who can literally bump anyone in the game, somehow falling over.
Edwards milked it, but the ref called surrender.
How was it a surrender? He shouldn't have called surrender. It wouldn't have been a problem.
But because he called surrender, surely the bunker should then listen.
He called surrender and milking.
Yeah. So shouldn't that be go back to ref's call?
What I don't get is the bunker's clearly not listening to the.
That's what I mean.
To what it is,
yeah.
because when you call surrender, you have to say release. You're allowed to hold on as long as you want until the ref. Anyway, just shit call. 10 in the bin. Also, now I know some people have said, but he told them before that when there was a little push and shove that the next one 10 people are going. Why are you telling people that you're going to sin bin them in an Origin over a push and shove?
No,
let it go.
These days, I'll cop the punches
for sure,
but a little bit you need that.
That's why people watch Origin. It's for the venom.
If you rub someone's head after that, I'm sorry, it ain't a 10 in the bin.
Like, it's not 10 in the bin. Look, if you feel like time after time there's niggling tactics or whatever, yeah, all right. But one time, so there was one push and shove.
Yeah.
Then the next one, there was a push and shove. Boom, gone.
They should be stoked with that. They should see that as a win. If the boys get angry and aggressive and just push and shove, that's a win. Like, the refs are winning in that moment.
You know what we are repeating? We're repeating the images of Critter doing that to DCE, that going like this. He's pointing at his head and he's pointing at DCE. That is Origin folklore. That's what we remember. It's the niggle. It's the chat back and forth. as I said, look, if it was the third or fourth time that they'd pushed and shoved and
And it's disrupting the game.
it's disrupting
and
the
every
game,
time,
then
2
all
minutes.
right. But like something like that, that's why people are watching. And also, it has nothing to do with safety. Like I understand them having to be harsh around things that are safety.
Yeah,
you know,
of
head
course.
highs and that. Sweet. But pushing and shoving.
We get it. You
come
can't
on.
punch people in Origin anymore, but you
Come
can't
on.
stop that. The theatre.
So dumb. And like just randomly picking out Paddy Carrigan, just going,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, Paddy Carrigan. What do you expect Queensland to do? Just go, oh, you just patted our dude on the head, like, oh yeah, no worries, just let you do. Like, just silly. Okay, yeah. So game three selection, boys, from New South Wales perspective. Do you feel Queensland should make changes?
I think definitely. I think their bench. I think Billy probably made the wrong call. I think they need to bring Cobbo onto the bench, or if it's Gagai, someone like that.
Well, Cobbo's made himself unavailable at this.
Oh, has
stage.
he? Okay.
Well, he's unavailable. He made himself unavailable for game 2.
Oh, yeah, no, but I didn't know.
You'd assume it's
I'm not sure. Let's say he's not
very
available.
weird if he was like, I'm not available for game 2, but I'm going to be available for game 3.
Right. Well, let's say he's not available. Then I'd pick at least some sort of
apologies, not very weird, but I'd be surprised if all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm not good to go for game 2, but I'm good to go at a side of game 3. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, true. I'd probably take out Capewell and put on Gagai. I think I'd do that, or find a way to have kind of cover everywhere. I thought the Capewell selection, I didn't really understand it. I'd probably keep Val, but if they dropped him, I wouldn't be
close.
shocked at all.
Honestly, getting close.
It's getting close, man.
And like you could just throw Gagai straight in there. So maybe Gagai
Well,
goes in
hopefully
there.
Hammer's all good. Apparently,
Hopefully
it's
he's
just a
all good,
low-end sprain, so he should be good for game 3.
I see.
Yeah, I see.
I don't know about Fafita. I think Billy's going to stick strong.
He's
to
made
the-
a pretty strong. Like he
Yeah.
hasn't been in the squad at all.
at all.
Yeah, I don't
I
see
think
that happening.
Bo Famore comes in. If I'm being honest, I would if I'm selecting the team right now, I'd be looking at tape with Val and seeing whether I drop him or not drop him. If I am going to drop him, you put Gagai in at centre.
Folklore, Gagai comes back.
Yeah, and Bo Famore at 17, in my opinion.
You couldn't write it if he comes back and just takes
Surely. So what would you do?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I just think stick solid to having the outside back on the bench. I don't think you could do too much else. They're forward pack. I thought the contact, like, what do you think? I know there was a level of fatigue and the game was swung in momentum, but I thought in contact in all areas, attack and defence, New South Wales dominated. But do you put that more down to fatigue and momentum or what?
Oh, I thought it was fatigue. I thought initially Queensland were actually winning that battle. But yeah, fatigue eventually just got them. And also, like, they weren't as committed. Like, we can talk as much as we want. Like every Origin game, we're just as committed. When you know deep down subconsciously you got a game 3 and you got a game in hand, you're playing way different to a team they're playing for their. Like New South Wales team was playing for their lives. Like if they went 3 in a row, 2 series in a row where the series was over by game 2, and also I just think that as well. Queensland are not going to have to cop 6 penalties in a row to open the match. It's just not going to happen.
Nah.
Like basically what happened is they kicked off, Queensland went down, New South Wales went down, and essentially from that point, it just went penalty, 6 again, like until a try was scored.
Would you consider a change with Harry?
He has been a bit flat, but no, I'd keep with what's worked.
Yeah.
I'd keep with what's
What
worked.
about in terms of the interchange, the timing?
I'd keep what's worked, to be honest.
Yeah.
But Harry hasn't been anywhere near as good as we know he can be, which is surprising. I will say the Queenslander comment has been hilarious, like the amount of memes and all that kind of stuff been so funny. Where Billy Slater said, we're still Queenslanders. What I think's happened there is, have you seen that or not?
Nah.
You have to watch it probably to get it. So basically, he was asked, hey mate, are you going to make any changes for game 3? And Billy just said, I haven't really thought about it. We're still Queenslanders. And then the journos followed it up with like, what does that even mean? And Billy was kind of like, oh, well, we're from Queensland. And he was a bit rattled, like he didn't really have an answer for that. But what I reckon happened there is he's answered it like he's a player. So what I mean by that is like they've gone, are you going to make any changes? And he's gone, we're still Queenslanders. And as a player, you would say we're still Queenslanders because you're not the one that has to make selections. And then I think he's realised, and what he means by we're still Queenslanders is we're going to stick together. But then what I reckon he's realised is like, holy shit, I'm a coach. By me saying we're still Queenslanders and we're going to stick together, if and when I do make changes, they're going to call me, they're going to say I went back on my word.
Right.
So I reckon he said we're still Queenslanders in that mindset of like, we're going to stick together. And then he's gone, oh shit, like, I may make changes, and then that's going to be used against me. So I reckon that's why. Because that's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah, for sure. From a New South Wales perspective, and this is coming from a more of like a banter perspective, like a New South Wales healthy rivalry perspective. Just like how it pisses me off that Cam Smith yells "Go Dozer," but deep down I know it's hectic, right? But it pisses me off. It's kind of the same thing when he says the Queensland, like the Western Queensland. I'm like, oh, it felt like just like that Queensland arrogance that they've had forever, and it's just like, oh, come on. I love it, but I love it and I hate it.
It comes from when I hear him say that. All I hear him saying is, "We stick together." That's all I heard him say.
Yeah,
not like we're still Queenslanders. We're better than you. It's we're still Queenslanders, as in we're going to stick together. We're not going to eat our own kind of thing.
And I just take it as he knows what they like. Queenslanders, they're going to back it up. They'll come back strong. They've always shown up. It's in Queensland.
Yeah.
I just think there's a level of resilience that he's talking about.
But he was rattled. Like you could tell him. He was rattled. Like because he didn't make any sense after that.
For sure. And he knew that because he's always one step ahead. So he knew that whatever he said was going to come back to bite him if he did make a change.
Yeah. And again, we have to remember, this bloke has friggin' coached like what, 6? That's his 8th.
I know.
That's 8th game of rugby league. Like, and he is in the cauldron of press conferences. Like, as a player, he was never captain at the Storm. It was Smith.
Yeah.
So in regards to press conferences as well, he wouldn't have done many at all. No. Like, I think because he's been so successful so quickly, I don't think people, like, we are looking at a rookie dealing with this right now. Like, yes, he is Billy Slater. Yes, he's been at the tippity top forever. I get that. Being a head coach in Origin is a different beast. And I think we're in that period, like, similar to Freddie Fittler, and we spoke about this actually before even this series. Like, and I've noticed it with other teams too. First 2 years Penrith were good, everyone loved them. And then when they were on top for too long, now it's like, fuck these guys.
Yeah.
Any little thing we can find to dislike them or whatever, whether warranted or not warranted. I'm not sitting here suggesting that you can't, not like that you have to love the swagger of the Penrith Panthers. Like, if you want to dislike that, that's sweet. I totally get it. It pisses you off when you're playing them. And I think Billy is in the same spot that Freddie was in after his back-to-back, where first 2 years with Freddie, he got a lot of grace. Everyone believed in him. There was all the earthing and the different kind of thinking and everything. And then for some reason, after that 2 years, we just go, nah. Like, when you're on the top too long, it's just like, nah, any little thing that I can find, I'm going for it. And I think Billy's in that same spot as well, where you get to that third year, and what protected Mal Meninga for so long is, A, the social media was nowhere near as big.
Yep.
The 24-hour news cycle, nowhere near as big. And, like, what protects you from everything is winning.
Yes.
As soon as you start losing...
Having 5 immortals probably helped him as well.
Yeah, winning like that. Like, if you win Origin matches, you get away with stuff. If you don't, and obviously Billy lost that game too, they're coming for you. So, and also, I do think heading into this series too, the media around Billy was more pointed. Wasn't wrong, like at all, but it was definitely more pointed than it was a couple of years ago. Like, remember
I agree.
The first year, like, he was the darling.
Yeah.
Like, how great is Billy? He speaks so well. He's so intelligent. And so that's why I personally believe, and I've said this way before this all happened, guys, so it's not hindsight hero. Mate, if Billy wins this series, just ride off into the sunset, brother. Look what happened if Freddie Fittler had have won 2021 and just rode off into the sunset. Look how much less stress he would have had to deal with over the last 2 years.
Absolutely.
And how differently he would have been remembered.
It's so unfair how people look at Freddie right now. Like,
So
it's so unfair. And the same thing could happen to Billy.
And you can go back, like I
hate to see.
It got to the point
terrible.
with Freddie, like I was definitely critical of some of the selections he made, but how bad it got there towards the end of just the way people would speak about a legend, I hated it. And as I said, there's a difference between ripping a legend down and critiquing his selections.
For sure.
And it got to a point where, like, ridiculing Freddie was outrageous, And I don't want history to repeat itself. I just don't want that at all for Billy. As I said, there's nothing wrong. Like, I agree with you. I think Catewell was the wrong decision.
Yeah.
I think they should have carried Gagai on the bench as the 17. And look, granted, I did actually I didn't mind his plan by actually pushing out Dearden and putting Catewell at like 3 defender. And sometimes at 4, which was
sometimes at 4, yeah.
So who like one of the middle forwards might have moved.
I think it might have been Sewer.
But Sewell was already on the edge, so I wonder what happened there. I would love to know who they took off and put in the middle. Anyway, long story short, I didn't mind his plan, actually. By putting Dearden at centre defensively and putting Capewell at 3, you're really only, one further out than what you normally would be. Yeah. But and granted, Hammer did come back on, so I get all that. But I don't know when Hammer came off, I would have felt way better if Gaga just went straight 100%. Out there.
Yeah, and that would have. And if Hammer went off and Gaga came on, as a Blues fan, I would have shat myself.
Yeah, so I think that's where my critique of Billy. I think that he made the wrong call there in regards to Gaga. I think he should be on the bench. Outside of that, though, very hard to be critical of. New South Wales just dominated. Like New South Wales were always winning that match.
Yeah,
they're just a far superior footy side on Wednesday night. Like it genuinely wasn't close. Like I know Queensland ended up scoring some points towards the end there, and you did see the flair of that. But by that stage, the only concern I have, the further away that I've got away from it, is that New South Wales had an opportunity to do something historic. Like, okay, we'll all remember, yes, that first half was incredible. It's record-breaking. But I don't think we're going to speak about it in 5 years' time because it's just the first half. If they had gone on with it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they go on with it and win 50-6, we speak about it for years and years. We still speak about that game 1, 2021, up in Townsville.
Yeah, exactly right.
Because it's a record margin. So a little bit of concern for me, and granted, look, the ref came out and was just giving penalty after penalty to Queensland. It shows you how much penalties dictate, the flow of a match. But I'm a little bit concerned that after just one half of footy, they were already in the mindset of like, we've won this and let's try things and make errors. And so that's a little bit of a concern for me from a New South Wales perspective.
I guess maybe like this, at the same time where Queenslanders are just like, you never say it, but we have that game in the bank. Maybe they came out after halftime Blues with kind of the same mentality.
But that's what's concerning though, because it's like,
so hard though, bro.
It's only a half of footy and you're already in that mindset. But they didn't. You can't tell me that second half Blues came out the same as the first half Blues.
No.
But that's what I'm saying. It's hard after a half like that. Your attitude does change.
That's concerning for me. That in just one half is enough to content, the Blues with where they're at. So the second half does have me a little bit worried for the Blues. But I'll tell you what. What I love the most about what the Blues are doing is that they had a game plan that was extremely clear from day dot, and they've absolutely nailed that. They are playing the way that they were picked to play.
Yes,
that is exciting. Yeah. That is exciting.
I love this 1-17. It's an awesome team. I really think they can definitely win this game 3 for sure.
I actually have them probably as favourites. I have them as favourites for game 3. Granted, I get the history. I understand it's Suncorp, it's a different beast. All those things I am aware of.
Yep.
But when you really look at the facts of the matter is this. Queensland have only played probably 10 good minutes of rugby league in this series.
Yes.
When it comes to minutes played of good rugby league, New South Wales have played substantially more better minutes of rugby league than Queensland, even with a man down. And that's why, for me, going into Game 3, obviously I'm picking Queensland, but I do believe New South Wales should be favourites because they've played much better rugby league. Look at the field position. Both first halves, Game 1 and 2, they've had 70% field position.
Unbelievable.
It's ridiculous.
And then the second, overall, they ended up having about 60% for both games of field position.
Even the possession was ridiculous for New South Wales.
And so when you look at that, I understand history and stats or whatever, but Queensland have not played a good game of rugby league yet.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Yeah, I agree with all those points. I think Queensland, I'd probably have Queensland's favourites for the reasons of kind of what you said. It hasn't been close the whole series so far. And this Queensland team have gotten to the grind in the past, in decider as well a couple of years ago. So they, it's going to be kind of new territory for this Blues team because it's not going to be a blowout either way next or whenever the game is. So I reckon, and for all the reasons before about, Suncorp and all the history, I reckon Queensland will be favourites. But where I think the Blues can win it is I sincerely think our forward pack is better. And that's going to be good.
I don't think your forward pack's better. I think your backs are better.
You reckon?
I think so. Like for the game plan and the form they're playing in.
I agree with that. I think on paper, Queensland forwards are better, but the New South Wales backs are better for sure.
I like how. I mean, I agree with the backs.
Coates versus Toto for sure.
Oh no, sorry, I'm talking about the forwards. I know I'm.
No, so you think your backs are better?
Yeah, I think we've got a better team. To be honest.
Oh, so you think? No, I don't agree. I don't think I agree with that. Like, yeah, you look at that front row: Jake Trbojevic, Lindsay Collins all day. Then you've got Paddy Carrigan versus Cam. Or Cam's just come back. I think Paddy Carrigan has done more in Origin, obviously winning the Wally Lewis medal. So I'd go Paddy just by a whisker there. Even though I think Cam's been outstanding. Then you got Ruben Cotter versus Payne Haas. You go Payne Haas. On the edges, Nanai versus Crichton. You'd probably go Crichton.
Yep.
On the other edge, you'd go Sewer and Martin.
I'd go.
Yeah, Martin.
Martin, yeah.
At hooker, Benny Hunt versus Reece Robson. I think it's Benny Hunt, substantially better Origin player. So yeah, how many was that? We have to fucking write it down.
I think that was.
We'll write it down.
I think New South Wales won that.
And then I think our bench has been killing it as well.
Okay, so up front row, Jakey. So the first one is
Collins.
Jakey Collins. You go. That's Queensland.
Collins.
One, and then New South Wales. Okay, sweet. So that's Queensland one.
You had Carrigan.
I had Carrigan over
Two.
Thingo, so that's 2. Then we had Haas over
Cotter.
Two New South Wales second rowers.
Yeah, so that's
agree with
3. And then we had Hunt over
Robson.
Reece Robson. That's 3. That's 3 all.
3 each.
3 each.
And what are you going in backs?
In backs, so I was just focusing on the forwards. I would say that I think the gap between, so it's 3 all.
Yep.
I think the gap between Jake Trbojevic and Lindsay Collins is bigger than the gap between Cotter and Haas.
Yeah.
In Origin.
For sure. But I'm also thinking about how our bench comes on, and like Spencer, Isaiah Yeo.
Spencer.
Like, I just think our 4-pack is unreal.
Spencer just takes the piss in a blue
It's not. It's close. It's close.
Okay, then the backs. We'll do the backs. So New South Wales, you go Coates, Toto. So Toto.
Yeah.
Then you go on the other side. You've got Taulagi, Lomax.
Lomax.
Oh, it's a tough one. Lomax is in better form, but Taulagi's done better in Origin.
You know what? Just because it's close, I'll probably go just 1 all overall for like wingers.
Nah, you know what? Lomax has been playing substantially better. Like he's had 2 games now and he's been better. So you go.
Yeah, I mean, for sure this series, yeah.
So you go 2. Then you go in the centres. You've got Hammer, Critter. I'd say Hammer right now.
Oh, it's hard.
Hammer's done way more in Origin than Critter.
Yeah. True. Okay, on that, yes.
Yeah. Then you got Latrell Holmes. Latrell. That's 3. And then
Walsh, Edwards.
Yeah, Walsh. So 3-2. 3-2. That should be the
So
5.
Walsh.
Yeah, you're back 5.
Yeah.
Yep. So 3-2. Man, it does. Like I know. So you're missing Tom Trbojevic, but like you're always missing Tommy Trbojevic, and also actually, I think that like I don't think if he was available right now, I don't think he gets picked over Critter or Trell.
No way.
It does suck from a Queensland perspective. It hasn't been spoken about that much, but like missing Gilbert, Tino, who else are we missing?
In the forwards?
We're missing quite a few forwards.
Yeah. Tino, Gilbert,
Flegler,
that was the other one. Yeah.
Like fuck, we're missing them psycho.
That's massive.
And obviously Munster. Obviously you guys are missing Cleary though.
And I reckon if Jai Arrow didn't have a bung rotator cuff,
he'd be
in there.
Yeah. So yeah, it does suck that Queensland are missing those boys, but in saying that, they still got a team that could win it.
They definitely
do. Yeah, I don't want to hear. I've seen some Queensland fans. I don't want to hear that shit. It's just we have a good enough side to win the series. So any idea that we're missing this guy, like it sucks from the perspective of I want to see the best of the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If, for example, when Cleary and Tommy are out, I don't like that as a Queenslander because I'm like I want the best players on the field possible. But from a perspective of, we're missing these players. This is why we didn't win. No, I don't want to hear that.
I think it'll be a cracky game. Both teams have the sides to win. New South Wales looked unbelievable, but a Queensland side with a point to prove in Queensland.
So is Queensland
dangerous.
your favourites heading into game 3?
No.
So New South Wales favourites?
I think New South Wales.
So you reckon you got a better team, but Queensland are favourites?
Yeah, just because of the whole. They've been in the grind before, and mainly it's up in Suncorp.
I want them to be favourites, but
yeah.
Yeah, wow.
I think off the 2 games, I don't think you can put Queensland favourites. I know the narrative. I know it's in Queensland, but based on the first game, I don't think you can.
I don't think you can either. Like, I hope they do. I really do. But this idea they're just going to click and it's just going to work.
Because arguably, game 2 reflects what happened in game 1. Like game 1, considering the situation, should not have been that close. You can say Queensland played poorly, but then New South Wales come out and do that in game 2, and you have to argue, would that have been possible in game 1 for them to win? Well, you'd have to say yes.
That is a point of difference. Like, you both are right. Like, in years gone past when Blues have smacked them game 2, Queensland have played good in that game 1.
Yes.
Whereas it is different
right.
this
That's what
year.
I'm saying. Like, game 1 last year, they played mad. Like, Queensland played mad. Like, Queensland did not play good in game 1. Like, first half, 70% of field position against them. Like, they just it was just domination. So that's where I go, I think New South Wales are favourites. They're in red hot form. They got everything to play for. Like, if they go 3-0 in this current climate I know I just spoke about not making excuses with players being injured, but imagine the amount of players that Queensland got injured right now and they beat New South Wales. Like, that's craziness. That's crazy. I think New South Wales are favourites, but I'm backing Queensland to win all the fucking way. KO's got you covered this footy season with every game, every round live, and ad break free during play. Some key games this weekend include Warriors, Broncos, Knights v Eels, Storm v Raiders, and Dragons v Dolphins, which are exclusive to Fox League and available on KO. There's plenty of room for everyone. Get on board on KO, now also available on Hubble. Maccas McSmart Meal. Make your footy feed McSmart with the new McSmart Meal from Maccas. 2 small burgers, a small fries, a drink for just $6.95. The LDVT60 has 160 kilowatts of grunt, which makes it one of the most powerful units in its class. Auto from $389.90. Driveway for ABN holders, 7 years / 200,000 kilometre warranty. Whichever occurs first, at that price, why get second hand? When you can go brand new LDV. Head to finland.com.au to become a Finlander. I think we've gone way over time, boys. Tips?
Yeah. This is the longest we've gone and we haven't even got to tips yet.
Okay, Bulldogs, Sharkies.
Dogs.
Sharks with no confidence.
Warriors, Broncos. Warriors are favourites.
Wow.
Yeah, I think...
No Broncos players are backing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I reckon the Warriors will bounce back. They went embarrassed last week.
Knights, Eels.
If Moses plays, I'll go Eels.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just going to go Knights, Smokey.
Okay. Storm, Raiders.
It's always a good game, Storm Raiders.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Storm, though.
Storm for me.
What about Sunday, the 3 games on Sunday?
I love it.
Best.
It's so good.
The first game starts at 2, 4 and 6. Woo.
I can't wait till a few years when we've got 20 teams and there's just going to be games everywhere.
Dragons, Dolphins.
Yeah, it depends on Hammer. He won't play. I'll go Dragons.
Yeah, same.
Hammer's out. Panthers, Cowboys.
Panthers by heaps.
Yep.
Ooh. Roosters, Tigers.
Roosters.
Alrighty. How's the air locker going?
It's going good,
Grouse
mate.
Hill?
It's going good. Yeah, Grouse Hill's thriving. I'm off to Canada. To open our first studio over there, bruh.
Wow.
Yeah.
How good.
Whereabouts in Canada?
Toronto.
Oh, nice.
You been there?
I've been to Canada. I've been to Whistler. I've been skiing on Whistler, but yeah, hectic. It's a good place.
Oh, yeah, there we are. Done and dusted, guys. Make sure to grab a case of bloke beer from your local. It's beer for blokes that turn up for family, mates, and good times. And also, as I said the other week, keep tuned for early September. Something big is coming. You're going to love it. A lot of work's gone into it. I cannot wait to reveal. And also, in about 3 weeks' time, something may be coming. Keep the shekels ready. As usual, go and fuck ourselves. Thank you.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.